everybody. I'm Luann, 22-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, and with us today is my co-host, Jose.
Hi, guys.
Today we have a very special guest, Mark Meinke. I said it right.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. He served for 4.5 years in 91 to 95 with the Princess Patricia's Light Infantry, PPCLI. We call them Pickleys.
No, not to
And
our face, you don't.
not to your face, no. I just did. So he's graciously decided to come and join us today, and he's got some really good life stories for us. I believe we should have a really good show. So why don't you start off, Mark, by telling us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, your family status right now, and basically like why you joined way back when.
I joined because I was an idiot all through high school. All through school, I just never ever did apply myself, mostly as a result of in hindsight now, a pile of childhood trauma. So I actually didn't have the ability to apply myself. And so that presented as ADD, but it wasn't. It's a trauma response, the inability to focus.
Right.
The ACEs score, adverse childhood events score, tends to be a lot higher for all of us that serve. It's the same with the first responders. People with really messed up childhoods end up serving the military or first responder. And I think it's the idea that those of us that have been picked on and bullied and whatnot, we want to feel strong and stand up for others so that they don't get picked on and bullied. I think that's fairly common.
That's interesting, actually.
I've never heard that either.
Me either.
Well, the ACEs scores, adverse childhood, so childhood trauma score, is double for those that serve. And it's even higher if you go infantry, and even higher if you go special forces. So the more difficult and grueling the training, the more likely it is that you have a really high ACEs score. So just a messed up childhood. And knowing the guys that I went through with in the infantry, looking back, I'm like, yeah, I remember some of the stories that these guys growing up. And that seems to make sense to me, but the studies have been done and the numbers are double
Wow.
for those that
Well,
go
now
arms.
you've got me thinking.
All the stuff I learned because of my show.
Right. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But so you grew up in out west in Alberta, or
yep, just east of Sherwood Park, a little town called Ardrossan, and in that area. And went to Ardrossan school. It's a country school, rough country school.
Yes.
Went there K to 7, and then our family lost everything in a bankruptcy thanks to Trudeau Part 1, and we lost everything. I watched all my shit get auctioned off on the driveway, and we got foreclosed on, moved to Sherwood Park, and that's the town. It's a suburb of Edmonton, and finished off high school there until I joined the Army.
So you were just young when you joined?
Yeah.
Pardon?
You were young when you joined?
Well, yeah, most people are. I joined when I was, but I didn't graduate high school till I was 20. I took the scenic route, but
I like that.
I did. But yeah,
so you were young when that happened to your family then?
Yeah, I was. Well, I was about 14 when watched everything get auctioned off on the driveway. So like 1984.
Okay, so you're about the same age as me then.
I'm 52.
Okay, I'm a little older.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
There's so joined at 20, had my 21st birthday in battle school, and my 24th birthday was in Croatia in the middle of a war.
Yes, I noticed that on your short little quick bio you sent us.
So you joined and straight away you went to Croatia.
Oh, no. Because I joined in 91 and Croatia was 94.
Okay.
Right.
So about 3 years later.
Okay.
And how was that? Like, where were you stationed out of in Croatia when you were there? So that was with ISAF or I4?
No, it was UN.
UN? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it didn't go NATO until about 2 years later. I think it was
Okay.
post because when it was officially a war was like 92 to 95.
Okay.
And then somehow they called the war over after 95. I've kind of scratched my head about that one, but
Mhm.
that's what they say. And then it
And
switched to a NATO mission after that.
right, and that's when I came in, was at the end of that NATO mission. So I was actually
Yeah, but
sorry,
you were
what was
next door in Bosnia.
I was next door in Bosnia, exactly. I was right at Velika Kladusa on the border of Croatia and Bosnia, actually, for
Okay.
6 months. So where were you in Croatia?
Sector South. So at the time, there was a sector called, locally called the Krajina. Krajina is Serb-held Croatia, so it was the hot spot.
Mhm.
And it was
Okay.
we were in the center of the hot spot. All Sector South, some of the towns like Benkovic, Dobravoda, Kiran Plaza, Rastovic, all Sector South stuff. And so we were in the hot spot for that tour.
And how long was your tour?
Just 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
pretty standard.
in relation,
Kids?
I'm sorry, pardon me, Josie?
Were you married, have any kids at that point, or
Oh,
just?
no, I was a swinging single. No, actually, I did have a girlfriend at that time. And I was even faithful to her. She probably shouldn't have been because she wasn't for me. I could have had some fun in Croatia, but I didn't.
no kidding.
And
some beautiful women in Croatia and
well,
Bosnia, actually.
during the war, they went from the age of 18 to 40 with nothing in between.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
war ages you in a hell of a hurry.
Yeah, for sure. And so geographically speaking, when you say South Sector, would that be down in Dubrovnik or close to Split? Like where are we?
No. That's way too far south.
Way too far south. Okay.
Yeah, that was all kind of a peaceful area. That was our leave center, actually. It was just south of Split, a place called Makarska. So Makarska is in between Dubrovnik and Split. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was our leave center. It was nice.
Right.
It's pretty.
Yeah, because I traveled on R&R from Split to Dubrovnik along the Dalmatian coast by vehicle. So that was beautiful, actually. The Dalmatian coast, just gorgeous.
I didn't know it was called that, but
yes,
off the coast of Makarska, there's an island called Brac, BRAC. And we all jumped on a little power boat and went to Brac one day. That was pretty freaking cool.
Nice. I was hoping to get to Italy from Dubrovnik because there is a ferry, but it was winter
time. It's a bit of a swim.
so yeah, well, no, there are ferries, but it was in the winter, and winter there, they shut it down, even though there's no snow. So I don't know. We didn't get to do that, but which is too bad. So moving on from your tour, I mean, was any stories from your tour that, stick with you?
Well, none that are fun to talk about.
True.
I mean, it was a genocide after all.
Yeah.
That tour in particular was kind of infamous for the horrific leadership, how we were treated by our own people. I didn't mind the bombs and the bullets. That was fine. No fan of landmines. That's not a good time. But bombs and bullets and living on the edge, that's all okay. I don't mind that. But how we were treated by our own people, though, that wasn't okay. And that's something that caused a lot of moral injury on that tour. There's guys that get riled up all these years later, 28 years later, and they still get riled up just thinking about it.
So Canadian leadership or just the UN leadership
Canadian.
in general? Canadian.
Well, UN ROEs are of course horrific, and but we didn't really think much about that because what are you going to do? It's the UN. But our own leadership, right from the CEO who did more damage to more people than I can even imagine, so many people that either directly from the CEO or as indirectly because of the stuff that he was doing, were just so betrayed, just brutally betrayed by our own people, by like people getting charged for the most ridiculous things. People, so many got out of the military after that tour because of how they were treated. They're like, and not because of the tour itself, but because of our own leadership. They're like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I thought this was a brotherhood. I thought this was a family. You know, this is not how you treat your family. So a lot of people were bitter and got out after that tour because of the treatment from our own people. An example, the carrier accident that we had, there was this bridge just outside of Kieran Slana. I don't know how tall it was, but it's pretty freaking tall. Quite the ravine that it went over, about 150-foot drop, I would guess. So if you go off the edge, you're quite dead. And we're all in the M113s. So for our civilian listeners, it's an armored personnel carrier. It's basically a tank with about 8 people in it. For visual. So it's a tractor armored personnel carrier, and they were really old and out of date at the time. So they were always malfunctioning. And one of the common malfunctions is when the final drive would pile up and would lock up one of the tracks and cause it to swerve violently. Now we're in the most heavily mined area in the world at the time. So that was not a good thing because several of the guys ended up in minefields. So I was hatches down. I was on inside trying to catch some kip when we're ever for whoever we were going. I don't know where we were going or what op we were doing, but it was a big op, and there's a big line of carriers. And all of a sudden, my ride got real bumpy, and me and my buddy are just hanging onto the bungee cords, going, "Holy crap! Are we in the ditch?" Kind of getting ready, cringing, getting ready for the boom, expecting to hit a landmine. And after this great big rodeo ride, we didn't know what was going on. The hatch come down, and we're like, "Oh, we're not in the ditch at all." The final drive piled up. It sent us veering towards the edge of the bridge, and this 23,000-pound vehicle, we should have gone sailing right off the bridge. But the hand of God came down. It was a freaking miracle and put us back on the bridge. We actually did the Dukes of Hazzard, and we were up on one track doing the Dukes of Hazzard as the other track kind of go down and up and down and up, crushing the guardrail. So one track was actually hanging over the edge of the bridge during part of this as it mangled this guardrail. And we didn't know. All the guys that were hatches up knew. So the driver, the crew commander, they were all like, "Oh boy." They thought that was it. But me and my buddy Ed, as soon as the hatch came down, it kind of, we see this mangled guardrail, and we did the math on what just happened. But after that, you'd think that maybe somebody'd come by like of leadership and go, "Hey, whoa, that's a squeaker. How you guys doing?" Instead, the CO and the RSM drove by in their Iltis, scowling at us because this big troop movement was interrupted. And after scowling at us and definitely not coming to just say, "Holy fuck, that's something," they tried to charge our driver with dereliction of duty. The driver who just saved our lives. I don't know how many of us were in there, 8 maybe. I can name most of them, but that driver saved our lives. But they didn't want to admit that the equipment was malfunctioning, and they had us operating with that equipment. So instead of owning it, they were going to charge the driver. And what that did to him and what that did to us, but that is just one story of 1,000 of that place of leadership. Everybody was scared of getting charged, and they didn't know what for or when it would happen. And I did get charged. I got charged with AWOL. A bunch of us did, about 6 of us, because we were on doing night patrol inside the camp, and we were ridiculously overtasked one night, like double overtasked. And we're looking at this, and we're like, well, we only get to call home because this is 1994, right? Like nobody had a cell phone or anything. We got to use the sat phone 20 minutes a month. That's what I remember anyway.
Yeah.
20 minutes a month. That was your allotment. So it's like, well, here we are. We're double tasked. So we had a little group meeting about it. It's like, well, could we use the phones tonight and rotate through it and still, nothing sneaky. Like we'll fill out the logs, not hiding anything. And can we do that and keep the camp safe and keep all the points of contact and keep our arcs covered? Like, can we do this safely and responsibly? And we all agreed. It's like, yeah, we can easily do this. There's no reason in the world why we shouldn't be able to use the phones, and we're certainly not compromising camp security. Well, we all got charged. We all got charged with AWOL, and we were charged according to our experience. So I was a one hook private at the time. I think I got a $400 fine. It's still fairly heavy. Another guy got, he was a corporal, $800 fine.
Wow.
I think the master corporal got $1,000 fine for using the phone for 20 minutes. And we didn't compromise anything. Like it was all tactically planned out and responsible and unbelievable. But we got charged with AWOL anyway.
So fast forward to 2003, we were I was on gate guard, and then they called DEFCON whatever. So we had to all rush to our positions, and I had to be the second on the Carl G and the whatever
what trade
you call it. I was HR.
HR? What the hell are you doing with the Carl Gustav?
I was the second on. I was gate
Venturi
duty. Everybody.
Check. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was the second on the Carl G, but the guy that was with me in the little bunker, what do you call it there, where they have all the sandbags all piled up and, everything. Bunker. Anyway, so he decides he's going to leave his post and run and get his camera because the moon was so nice that night. And fast forward, it's like, you're not supposed to leave me here. It's like, we're doing an exercise. Anyway, and he didn't get charged. So that's the difference. I mean, 10 years, whatever makes.
Well, it's the leadership, or as
much that as too. We had a pretty good sergeant, but I don't think the leadership in 28 years has changed that much, hey, Jose? Like,
I'm listening to you, and I'm like, oh my God, same shit, different piles. Like, even now,
it's just this great big machine that just you can't get. It just goes round and round and round, and it just does not change.
I don't get it. We have lesson learned. Like, haven't we learned anything? Like, wow.
Only the people that make the mistakes and carry on, the people coming in that don't bother to learn from those mistakes. Oh my goodness, generational, right?
Yeah.
Next generation.
So after your deployment, you came back home and you decided it was done? You didn't want to stay in the military?
Yeah, during my deployment, I think it was doing night camp patrols with some of the guys that had university education. And I'd just be so curious, like, what'd you learn? And I just wanted to learn from them, and I could hold a conversation, and I could understand what they were talking about. And I thought, here I am in this place, in this war zone, where if somebody wanted to go to university, the entire family would have to skip a meal a day, and everybody, like the family, the extended family, cousins, uncles, everybody would have to pool together to take the best and brightest of that entire family to put them to post-secondary. But in Canada, you just get a student loan and go. Mm-hmm. So when I realized that opportunity, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to go and use that, take that opportunity that's available. And I needed to go get some post-secondary, at least get some college or something. And so when we got back from the tour, I put in a memo saying, hey, put me on Garrett trooping duty so that I can upgrade my high school, because I was a frickin' wingnut. And that way I can further my education. And they said, nope, you're a good soldier. We're not going to Garrett troop you. So no, you can't go do that and upgrade your high school. Okie dokie. So here's my release then. Thanks, buddy. And I just made up my mind. So I broke my second basic engagement because there's 2 contracts, right?
Yeah.
3 years and 3 years. So I was in the middle of
Mhm.
my second 3-year contract, and I'm like, fuck you, I'm out of here.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I had this deep desire to go to school, so I did. I took the police and security program at Grant McEwen, graduated somehow. I didn't fail a single course, but and actually got pretty decent marks all the way through. But when it was time to look for employment to be a cop, I had a couple of moments where I realized, oh, I don't think I should be a cop. I'm going to end up punching an old lady in the face or something. Like something bad's going to happen. I just didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my temper. And one of the examples of that, I was a freaking meter maid while I was in college. So, I always had a job in college. I had 3 jobs the first year, 1 job the second year. But so I'm this meter maid, freaking writing parking tickets, and this lady starts screaming at me from middle of winter. It's cold as balls out. It's just terrible. But she starts screaming at me from this balcony. I'm like, oh God, here it comes. And she comes piling out of this apartment building and in my face, arms flapping, screaming, because I wrote the ticket anyway while she's watching me from the balcony. I'm like, I don't care, here's your ticket. But her getting in my face, and she wasn't even a big lady, she's just this little thing, but I felt myself being aggressive, and I kind of bowed up to her, like stuck my chest out, and I was physically aggressive with my body language with her. And it was in that moment that I realized, yeah, I can't be in these situations, because if she was to take a swing at me, I probably would have knocked her out. And that's not good. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to deal with the fallout, and I do not trust myself if somebody's aggressive with me. But of course, nobody knew what the hell PTSD was. So no,
Right.
all I knew is that I do not trust myself in this situation.
So
Right.
what did you end up doing after?
Well, shortly after that, I still tried out for the RCMP. I was accepted, but I failed the medical because of a heart murmur. And I'm like, well, yeah, I had this in battle school. Like, what's the problem? And they're like, yeah, you don't get it. This heart murmur is going to kill you. It's severe, and you got to worry about sudden death and heart disease. And if you don't get this fixed now, like, you're not going to make it for very long. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So I had open heart surgery when I was 29.
Oh
Wow.
And I
my.
took that as sort of the final sign that maybe I should rethink my career choices. So graduated in 98, had the heart surgery in 99. And then it was odd jobs all over. I've had more jobs than anybody I know. And now in hindsight, I realize that it was also PTSD, because when there's chaos within, the chaos you see around you. And oh my God, I was a collection agent. I was a carpenter, owned numerous businesses. I was a realtor for about 12 years on and off. So many business, different jobs and businesses that I've had. And now I'm doing this. Only I'm retired. I got to retire last year. So thank God for that.
Right. And so you do your own podcast now.
Yeah.
And that's called, again, Tango Romeo?
Yeah.
Or is that just an episode? Operation Tango Romeo?
Yeah, Operation Tango Romeo. So it stands for trauma recovery. I just figured it'd be easier for people to share it and promote it and listen to it if it didn't say trauma recovery right on it. Because most people,
Right.
or not most, but a lot of people are going to want to listen to the show privately, kind of like going to therapy. Not everybody goes, hey, I'm going to my therapist. I do, but not everybody does that. And so if they want to be discreet, I made the name so that they can access it discreetly.
Mm-hmm. And so I know at one point in time that you had done, so coming into Remembrance Day, I think this is probably a good segue for us to hit the Legion aspect of this, because I know you did a series of podcasts on how to save the Legion.
Yes.
And so let's go into a little bit of the lead up to that series, which I know, and I've seen your story on social media that about your Legion experience. So maybe you'd like to share that with our audience, which leads us into How to Save the Legion podcast and some of your thoughts on the Legion. And I don't know if you have any history about how the Legion was formed and what happened in 2015 with the charter. I think it was the charter that changed in 2015. So maybe you could get into a little bit of that for our audience leading into Remembrance Day.
Sure. And I always like to preface it with, I'm grateful to the Legion. When I first reached out for help, it was the Legion that picked up the ball. And I was in a bad way. Like I was in rough shape. And they ended up dipping into the Poppy Fund for me, which was amazing. That helped me out incredibly. And they got the ball rolling lickety split with a case manager and getting the ball rolling. So the Legion has a purpose. It has a function. And I'm grateful to the service officers that saved my bacon when I was drowning. And they have room to improve. So there's a difference between Legion Command, and the individual branches. There's individual branches that are fantastic and they do a great job of serving veterans, and there's others that are the opposite of that, where veterans are actually unwelcome. And I've kept hearing stories of this over the years of veterans being unwelcome in a Legion. I'm like, I don't get it.
Yep.
How could this be? And till it happened to me. I was taking my kid to Air Cadets in High River and dropped him off. And I thought, I should probably patronize the local Legion and hang out there, because I saw it as like a sanctuary, an oasis, and a nice place for veterans to just kind of chillax and be welcomed. It's like a home away from home is what it's supposed to be. So I walk in there and there's a bingo going on and a bunch of cranky people scowling at me. I'm like, woo. So I just got to walk around them, give them a wide berth, walk to the bar, and the bar's closed. Oh, well, that's fine. I don't drink anyway. So I can't have a pop or anything. Well, there's a pitcher of water there. I said, okay, that's fine. And no complaints. Got a water. Then I realized that there was coffee on. I'm like, well, they didn't tell me about that. So I went and had a coffee, grabbed a book off the shelf and sat down to just enjoy the book. And before that, there was a couple of Legion workers that I sat down with and we're chatting and everything was fine. But as I'm sitting down to read my book, and we're about in it for about 5 minutes, and the lady that was working the Legion, she was like really nervous about me being there, and she was agitated. I didn't know why. I didn't really care. I'm just reading a book, having a coffee. But she comes up to me and says, you got to leave. I said, are they leaving? Like, what's wrong? Well, you got to leave. Well, are they leaving? No, they paid to be here. And that line that she said didn't really kick in until about a half hour later. They paid to be here? These bingo players? Because I promise you, I have paid to be here. And, but anyway, I didn't say a word about it. I just said, well, that's a bit of a surprise, kicking it. So just so I'm clear here, you are actually kicking a veteran out of the Legion. Like, this is what's happening? Legit? And yeah, get out. Okay. So I got out and sat in my car, just kind of trying to make sense of it. And I thought I'd do that Facebook Live, and it went viral. Yeah. Last I haven't looked at it forever. Last I looked, it was well over 50,000 views. But I just told the story the way I just told it to you folks, and I tried to be fair, and I wasn't angry, I wasn't ranting, I wasn't swearing. I just like, this is what happened. And the Legion president, who is a veteran, which is rare apparently, she got a hold of me a day or two later and apologized, and yeah, that's cool. But and they fired that person, unfortunately. I didn't want to see her fired, as just have her educated, I guess. Because what if I was a veteran in distress? What if I was working up the courage to ask for help, and that's why I was there?
Well, exactly. That's exactly it. Which sort of leads us into, so I'll get back to this, but it sort of leads us into your most recent bit of your story, which was part of the, what did you call it, for the MAiD? The veteran that was offered MAiD, standing committee.
The standing committee at Veterans Affairs. So I found out after the fact that veteran did not want me to testify, but he told me that after the fact. So I'm like, dude, like, not a mind reader here. But so he was mad at me. But
were you compelled to? Did you have to do that? Was it?
It was an invitation.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wasn't compelled. It was an invitation, but I'm really glad I did it because there's nobody else that had the information that I had. So the other so-called witnesses were just nice people that were stakeholders in the veteran community, but they didn't know anything about what was going on, and they had no contact with the veteran in question.
Correct.
But the veteran in question came to me, and I wasn't the only one. He came to quite a few people. I don't know how many, but he said quite a few, and gave copies of the audio of the apology phone calls. So this did happen. Veterans Affairs Canada did offer to kill him. And even though they say that they don't offer that program, well, then why did she offer it? Because she did offer it. And he was offered it. And I have the 2 recordings of the 2 phone calls of them apologizing for offering it. So it happened.
There is audio. See, I wanted to put that to bed because there's been rumors flying around that there wasn't. There is audio. Okay.
Of the apology phone calls, but not the original phone call.
That's fine.
The original phone call where he was offered MAiD back is, and for people that don't know, back is Veterans Affairs Canada. VAC has claimed that there is no audio for that, but I call bullshit, and I called bullshit in my testimony quite firmly. It's like, you're full of it. You know, I said it nicer than that, but I don't believe you, and I don't think anybody believes you. Of course, it was recorded, but they're claiming that it wasn't. But regardless, I have the apology phone calls, which the veteran has not given me permission to release, so I haven't. I've respected that.
Yeah.
I think anonymity is probably the biggest part, but must be more to it because I didn't breach his anonymity in my testimony. Nobody has a clue who he is unless they've dealt with him directly. So I think he's mad at me because he thinks that I'm benefiting or grandstanding on his pain and suffering. That's my best guess because I've spent a couple hours on the phone with him. So I think that's what it is. And there's nothing I can do about that. Like,
no,
if he's going to draw that conclusion, of course, I don't see it that way, but there's nothing I can do. You know,
it's super scary to think that a veteran can call Veterans Affairs and ask for help, and they offer that. Like when I heard that too, I was like, excuse me, like. He had the balls to call to say, I need help. I'm suffering here. And then that's their solution. Yeah. Like you said, we're a brotherhood. They're not supposed to treat us this way. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So many of us have picked up the torch since that story broke, to be quite honest. And
it broke, I have to say, it broke because of him. So he went through an intermediary. A friend of his that was friends with Mercedes Stevenson, and he gets 100% of the credit for breaking that story.
Yeah. God love him. And soon as I heard it, like I'm not a TikTok person, but I had to. I went out on TikTok. I got 25,000 views on my video that night. I was bawling. Like, I could not believe this was happening. I could not believe that somebody who had the guts to actually reach out to an institution that's there, similar to the Legion, and this is where I'm going, this is the connection I'm making, similar to a Legion, for help, and being told, oh, well, you know, better than you blowing your brains out in a garage, we'll just offer you MAiD. Like, we've done it before, and we gave the kids counseling just so nonchalantly and cavalier about it, and I was just, are you kidding me? So in my efforts, so we've, there's a bunch of us that have, done a lot to bring this to people's attention in their own little way, however that is. So I wrote to the Minister of Veterans Affairs and
Which
received
one?
Macaulay,
Okay.
the one they want fired now, the union.
Yeah, I don't think he's a fan of me right now.
No, I don't imagine. So I wrote to him. I got the typical response back, but I asked him some questions. So, and then I wrote to the shadow minister as well, and he
that's
actually
that's what I meant, because they just switched. So was it Frank
okay.
or
Frank
Blake?
Caputo's now the VAC.
No, it was Frank, and now it's Blake Richards.
Okay, so Macaulay's gone then. Lawrence
No,
Macaulay's gone.
for the shadow minister, Macaulay's still there, but for the shadow minister, it was Frank, and now it's Blake.
Okay, so I spoke with Frank at the time.
Yeah,
he actually phoned me. But my big thing is the public, and do you know this from being a part of this whole thing? Do you know if these results of this, they are going forth with an investigation? I take it, right?
An internal,
yes, no?
Yeah, they're investigating themselves.
Okay, so they're not investigating the person that did this. You're kidding.
No. So that person kept his job or her job.
Yeah, she kept her job. That's my understanding. The last update.
So is that not a criminal offense to coerce somebody to suicide?
Well, that was another part of because they tried to spin it like she wasn't coercing, but in the apology calls, it was quite obviously coercing. It was like a bad used car salesman. He says no once, he says no twice. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you asking me this crap? Like, what the hell is this?" But she was so clueless on the other end that she's like, "Well, just in case up the road."
Wow.
Oh, see, now I'm angry again.
Yeah.
Now I just want to rant again. Are you
so
kidding
basically
me?
it's not going to go anywhere, and they're going to continue asking us.
Well, I don't know if anybody else has been asked. I mean, I don't think there's any chance that the very first time it ever happens in history that a big brouhaha comes from it. I don't think there's any chance of that. But I've put up a couple of signal flares, and and I'll ask anybody here that's listening to this today, if this happened to you or somebody that this happened to, have them get a hold of me. I have a direct line with the shadow minister, and because there's going to be another the third committee hearing, because my testimony conflicted with that of the minister, so they're hauling the minister back onto the carpet to grill him.
Wow, because in the email back that I got from Macaulay, there's actually a 1-800 number that was given to me in case anybody had this happen to them again. So I can pass that on to you. Anybody can reach out to either of us. I'll put up contact information in our descriptions. And where can they reach you, Mark?
Operation Tango Romeo. So I'm on Facebook, all the main 8 podcast channels. I just found out yesterday I'm on Amazon Music as well. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, so are we too. And for us, if anybody knows of anybody, again, same thing, because Mark and I are, Facebook buddies and stuff, so we can be in touch with each other. Our address, if you want to drop us a line, if you know anybody, or if this has happened to you, it's it's Veterans Table Talk, all one word, @gmail.com, our email address. So you can reach out to us and say you want to talk to Mark if you can't find him, or whatever you want to do. But we do have a 1-800 number that's a direct link to the minister if this has happened.
And it's time sensitive, because if you want to get on the witness list, you can be a witness either virtually, so through like a Skype link, like this is, or in person. And they'll cover the cost. They'll reimburse you for the headset. They reimburse me for flight. And I just felt I needed to be there personally, in person.
Yep.
Just more impactful and seem more credible.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be in person. It can be virtually. But there's not a lot of time. So
when's the next hearing?
It's going to be before the 24th, but I don't know if it's set yet.
Okay.
If it's set yet, they haven't told me.
Okay. Okay. Well, so that being said, so going back to the Legion a little bit here, so you actually did a series of podcasts. Did that get born out of your experience with being kicked out, or was that already something you had on the go?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of complainers and whiners and bitchers. I prefer to fix stuff. So instead of me complaining about getting kicked out of the Legion, I was like, well, let's investigate. Like, how big a problem is this? Has this happened to
Right.
other people? And turns out it's pretty damn common.
It is, yep.
Like incredibly common, where veterans get treated like dog shit when they walk into the Legion.
Yeah, but wasn't there that thing too when unvaccinated veterans wanted to go to the Legion, they got kicked out?
Oh yeah. They definitely were all about the Vax passport for sure.
Yeah.
And
well, I heard Claire's Home has canceled Remembrance Day this year. I think that's out your way, Claire's Home.
Yeah, it is. But this year?
Yep. Yeah, I saw a newspaper article going around Facebook. They've canceled Remembrance Day ceremonies this year.
I'm going to look that up because that makes no sense because there's no restrictions anymore.
Yeah, well, apparently it's because of monkeypox.
Oh, fuck.
Ridiculous.
What is wrong with you? Yeah, we'll storm the beaches of Normandy, but oh my God, there might be a monkeypox out there.
That's right.
Jesus Christ.
I know, I hear you. Just
thought
I'd bring that to your attention.
My question to you, since I'm in Paris this year, are they still are the poppies still red, or are they multicolored this year?
So I wrote a thing on that. I was a columnist for a little while. Like I said, I had a lot of jobs.
You did.
So I explore and I wrote a column on the rainbow poppy. That wasn't actually a thing. A couple of people made a custom one, but it's not actually like a popular thing that got out there and is widespread in any way.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So they're red.
So they're still red. They're still the poppy. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I'm making the Legion's heads explode because they get really mad about their trademark, so they want it with the little black center.
Yes.
And the one I'm wearing right now has my old shoulder flash brass on there. BPC allowed to pin it to me.
Yeah, well, V4F came up with a pin that we can wear to replace the poppy if we don't want to support the Legion for whatever our personal reasons are. But in the series that you did you find anything out about? So I know the command. I find the command has gone very political, which have you found filters down to the actual chapters, legions?
I don't know. It's definitely gone very civilian, and I guess there was no way around that because the veteran community was just not stepping up. So what are you going to do? You know, if you're going to stay alive, it's whoever's going to put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll do that. But there's in command positions though, like right now, the new head of the Legion at Dominion Command, wherever that is in Ontario somewhere, that position has to be a veteran that's in there. It has to be, but it's not.
Okay. But it's not.
But it's not. And that was my understanding. I've reached out to them so many times, and the only time they ever got back to me was all snotty and trying to prove to me that I'm important enough that they could be on my show. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. I've had Aaron O'Toole on, I've had movie stars on and all these things, but the Legion doesn't want to be on a show that's all about veteran resources.
And about how to save the Legion.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But in that series, there's some real science that we uncovered with surveys that have been done and apparently there's been lots of them done, but they've all been ignored. So these surveys keep getting. So what can the Legion do better? And then they take all that information and they junk it.
Yep.
they don't. because it's all
File 13.
because to improve, you have to change. You're like, change? I'm not going to change. To improve, it's got to be about veterans. Well, we can't have that. The Legion being about veterans, can't do that. So they throw out all these very good ideas and suggestions and what the veteran community wants, and they just ignore it all.
Did you ever? So my curiosity has always been, where do they get their funding? It can't just be from poppy sales.
So for funding, I don't know, but the Poppy Fund is a Poppy Fund. It's a separate thing. So the Poppy Fund isn't supposed to go, and as part of their charter, like it's a hard rule that the Poppy Fund is 100% supposed to be going to veteran support and nothing else. And it's a whole separate deal. It's a separate bank account. But we've been finding story after story after story of that getting dipped into in when it shouldn't, and being used to restock the bar or do all kinds of other operational stuff that it's not supposed to be there for. There's a lot going on with the Legion right now. Lawsuits because of privacy. The stuff that I can't talk about yet, but I'm kind of a center hub in the veteran community like you guys probably are. And I get all the stories. And but there's lawsuits active right now about breaches of privacy and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like it's bound to happen at some point, right? Because it's so fractured. They're all individual little silos. So there, like I said before, there's some branches that are freaking fantastic. They're thriving. They're doing well. People love to go there. They have great Remembrance Day ceremonies, and veterans feel good going there. Then there's the other ones where veterans are simply not welcome. And go fuck yourself is the sort of the response when you walk in the door. And or you have some stolen valor piece of shit in there that says that you're the one that's not a real veteran. You know, these are all stories that keep happening. It's like, oh my God, you know,
then you've got Kemptville. Then you've got the Kemptville chapter, who apparently is keeping its doors open with money raised from renting out the Legion to a drag queen show for kids.
Oh no.
I don't understand that new kick and how sexualizing is. Remember when Netflix had that show Cuties?
Yes. I quit Netflix when that came out.
Had a fight about that because I wanted to cancel the Netflix account over it. It's grooming. On my show, I like trauma. What greater trauma is there than childhood sexual abuse? You know, it happened to me, and it is life destroying. So when I see groomers, because I've been groomed, you know, so I know what that's like. And when you normalize sexualization to children, to 7-year-olds, that's grooming. That's what that is. And if you don't know that, then you are enabling groomers.
That's right.
And you're helping out pedophiles if you don't know that. So how people are thinking that sexual content for kindergartners and grade, you know, and preschoolers, and how that's a good idea because somehow that makes them virtuous. No, that makes you a fucking groomer, and it makes your children susceptible to sexual assault because you're normalizing sexualization. That's how groomers do it. It's inch by inch telling you that this is normal, or this is our special way of talking with each other, or this is our special little secret. And that's how adults end up raping children. That's how they do it. And this is a pedophile's wet dream, having children sexualized, and it's not even them doing the grooming. Somebody else is plowing that path.
Well, the parents.
Yeah,
the parents are plowing it by taking them there.
Hang on, I'll turn off the mic again. Oh God, he's right up my ass. Right at the front door again.
But some parents, I think, don't see it yet. They don't see it because we're all tend to be, we have to be nice. We have to be politically correct. We can't say this. We can't say that. We can't do this. That wouldn't be nice. Blah, 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 blah. So it's like some of them are just like blinded. They don't even realize what they're doing.
It's unbelievable. And like you even talk about grooming and people start screaming QAnon. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So you're saying grooming doesn't happen? Child sexual exploitation doesn't happen? Of course it happens. You freaking idiots.
I just think it's particularly egregious for a Legion to bring a family-friendly drag queen show to keep their doors open and have the guest star of Ben, Ben Dover, as one of the performers.
That's the name? That's the name of the performer?
Yes.
Bend over.
Bend over.
Yep. And
oh my
how
God.
far has the Legion like how far has the Legion fallen at this point when you see that?
All the way.
All the
there's
way.
so many people that are just calling for it to collapse, and
Yep.
you know,
is it time
to do a molo?
Like,
well, I did that Legion. I did that series of how to save the Legion.
Yeah.
And it's because I want to see them win. I want to see them succeed. I really do. Because the concept of the Legion and it's what the stated mission is, that's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But how it's actually on the ground and working is not good stuff. It's broken.
So is it corrupted? Has it been corrupted to the point? Is it salvageable?
Tons. There's tons of corruption in there because they're this special little club with firewalls around it that people are too terrified to try to call them out. Mm-hmm. Because it's the Legion. So you can't call out the Legion.
Anybody sitting here and listening to this, I mean, do you really think that the people that died overseas for this country to be one of the best countries that we're in, and then for the Legion to start up in their benefit, do you really think that they would love seeing this right now?
Well, really? People would be rolling over in their grave. There's no doubt. But when veterans stopped using the Legion, the mm-hmm. Legion didn't adapt.
No.
So, and we're talking 30 years ago.
Yep.
So 30 years ago was the time to start to adapt, and they didn't.
Right.
I mean, how many people are interested in joining a dart league and going in for a meat draw?
Yeah.
But that's all they got to offer because they didn't adapt.
I mean, they've just turned into these big drinking, spots, cheap drinks, and now we've gone even further down the hole into drag queen shows for families. So, I mean, is it time? I mean, is it time for them to wrap it up and change to accommodate the new veteran, the new generation of veterans?
Well, imagine a completely different model. Imagine scrapping all the pubs. Because why is it a pub? It's a pub because the idea was let's get people together and it
socialize
for socialization. And the reason that the Legion happened in the first place is because when you come back home from a war, you don't want to hang out with civvies who are like, did you ever kill anybody? What was that like? Like, fuck off.
Exactly.
So you don't want to hang out with them. You only want to be with other people that are like you, that can understand you, right? And it's not to talk about the war stories; it's just to be with people that get it and that you feel, it's like the original safe space, because you're with people that you connect with. And you don't want to go to the civilian pubs so much because they find out that you're a war veteran and everybody wants to pick a fight with you to test themselves. It's like, you know what? I don't want to beat anybody up today or ever, really. So could you just leave me alone? So you hide the fact that you're a veteran so that nobody tries to bow up to you and try you out, And I had that happen lots. Some big farm kid squaring off with me because he figured out I was a soldier and wanted to test himself. Well,
happens in Kingston all the time still.
Yeah, it's not fun,
No.
So why don't we change the model? Because like if it's about supporting veterans, well, alcoholism is a fucking problem. So why are you supporting alcoholism? Because you're also supporting that more than you are a sense of community. You're supporting alcoholism. I haven't had a drink in about 2.5 years. And because I'm a better person without it. So if we want to actually support people, why don't we support healthy habits? Scrap all the pubs and open a bunch of fitness clubs.
That's a good idea.
Convert the same buildings, close down the bar, open up a coffee shop and smoothies and put in some gym equipment and turn all the legions into gyms,
hangout spaces. Yeah. Whether you want to go to the gym or not go to the gym, it's a place you can go hang out, have a coffee, a smoothie.
Yeah,
work out if you want to.
Gyms with a with a coffee lounge and stuff.
Right.
So you can still go hang out, have a coffee, meet, and that be an actual meeting place, and a place that supports your health and moving forward, and have a couple of backroom things for counselors or for group therapy or peer support or stuff like that, and be a health modeled organization. That would win. It's a hell of a 180, but that would win, and people would buy their memberships.
Absolutely.
To support that.
Absolutely. I would support that.
Or have another fucking meat
Legion. I'd be at the Legion every day if that was the case. So it's kind of that mindset that I have with regards to the Legion, and I've had it for a long time. I don't know anything about the charter and the changes and what it was like before because I didn't pay attention, but this whole show was sort of based on, we really don't have a place for us as veterans to go and sit and gab, about our life and about our experiences. So why don't we do a show about that? Because where else are you going to get that?
To me, the epitome of the Legion being out of touch is the goddamn swear jars.
You just owe I don't know how much you owe for your swear jar in this show. It's all good though.
and the little swear jar-esque signs on the fucking wall. It's like,
they really have those?
Oh yeah. Haven't you seen?
Kidding.
Yeah. Every Legion around here's got them. And I've actually been corrected on a Remembrance Day kind of week. And I'm sitting down with other hard charging Patricias. So all combat veterans, all of us. And the civilian barmaid comes over and goes, "Watch your fucking language."
Oh my God, I'd be kicked out. And I'm not a hardcore charging vet. I'm just ex-army, and I had a trucker's mouth before I even went in there. So me and Jose wouldn't even make it. We'd be broke.
What other segment of society, unless you're in a business meeting or having tea with the Queen, and she's dead now, so that doesn't even count. But where else? What other pub on the planet has this? Who else treats adults like this?
Right.
And do you know who you're talking to? You're asking a bunch of veterans not to swear, especially combat veterans. Really?
Okay, that's the best joke I've heard all week.
It's the most infantilizing thing that I can imagine.
My mother-in-law would always say, "Do you talk this way to your boss?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah. Of course I talk like this." What are you talking about? I fucking swear all the time. Oh my God.
I tried not to, but I was unsuccessful most times.
Me neither.
Well, getting rid of not treating grown adults as children is probably a real good starting point for cleaning up the Legion.
Yeah, I'd say.
And get rid of that swear jar, have a burning ceremony for it with a really colorful song while you're dancing around the fire. Get rid of that crap. And if the old biddies playing bingo don't like it, fuck them.
What does it cost?
Not literally.
Every time you swear?
Well, if that's your thing. Some people got a kink
Oh,
that way.
okay. Well, we're just about at the time where we're going to cut this off, Mark, but this has been delightful and very informative, actually. So I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing this information, especially about the veteran who was offered MAiD, which I'm close to that story. So I'm really happy to have that update. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So anybody that does want to come join us, please get in touch with us at veteranstabletalk@gmail.com. And of course, as usual, all the opinions of the show are the individual's opinions and not of anybody else. So we'll talk to you all next time on Veterans Table Talk, and everybody have a great day.
Bye, guys.